Could not fire him, though.
No, you know what I think it was? I think it was a combination of the fact that Comey is about 6'7", and he towers over everybody. And most of the time when you see people that are that tall, people associate very tall people with an oaf, somebody who trips over his own 2 feet, okay? And that's what I figure most people thought about Comey, but he was anything but. All right, he knew exactly what was going on because he had the respect of all of his underlings, okay? All the agents were thrilled to be working with him, you know, and I really didn't hear any negativity at all when it came to talking or discussing Comey. So,
except for the Democrats and the Republicans.
Well, but they had their own reasons, okay? But within the FBI, he was very
highly thought of. There's a code of silence, just like there is in the police department. You don't talk. And that's the way it's supposed to be. So,
what? To say that again?
That's the way it's supposed to be. They should not be talking about other employees or their boss.
Even if you know somebody did something wrong?
There's a proper chain of command to do it. You don't go ahead and put it to the public.
Well, all right. There's the chain of command I could understand and follow. But, you know, the people who are the whistleblowers are the ones who have followed every possible legal means of getting their word out. And if they're squashed at every opportunity, what are they supposed to do?
That's what you assume. Because whistleblowers could just do it to hurt somebody. Because they don't like somebody. There's a lot of reasons for whistleblowing.
Well, you know, I think when I think along those lines, I think of teachers who are not so much in the city, but out on the island and outside of New York proper, where you have to go before a committee to get tenure. And you make one enemy on the committee, and that could really ruin your chances of getting tenure within the school system or wherever it is you are. You know, all it takes is one enemy who says,
yes, Dr.
I'm not going to...
Mark.
What?
I said, yes, Dr. Mark.
This is your show. I can't get rid of you, see? You know. When I said you were fired at the beginning of the show, it was to prove a point. You know. But the bottom line is, Trump, unfortunately, has surrounded himself with people who are afraid to tell him no. I mean, just take, for example, Tuesday at about 10 o'clock, 10:30, all right? They're all outside the West Wing of the White House, all meaning reporters. They were told to be there. Sean Spicer is literally in the bushes. And this was from different news media. They told him to turn off the cameras and turn off the lights. And he issued the statement that Comey was fired. Okay? Comey thought it was a prank and a joke when he was in California getting ready to give a speech to prospective FBI applicants. And when somebody drew it to his attention, he thought it was a joke.
Hey, look what's on TV.
He never got anything formally in writing. He never was given any time to dispute it. They just went public with it.
No, they had to tell him somehow.
They told him nothing. That's what he said, and that's what was reported by everybody. He got absolutely no notice at all.
If he didn't get a notice, then he wasn't fired.
It's almost like the time I think
You're not fired till you get a notice personally.
Well, they sent a fax to where he was, but the bottom line is he didn't get the fax until after he saw it on the news and on TV that they were reporting that he was let go.
Nobody sends faxes first thing.
I don't know. That's like breaking up with a girl over the telephone instead of having the balls to do it face to face.
It's an email first thing, I'm sure, not a fax. And somebody should have read it.
No, the letter itself would be a fax because it had the White House logo on the top.
An email
signed
can
by
have
Trump.
it. An email can have it too.
How?
Because they always look. Every one of my signatures has a big fancy signature with my logos.
How do I know it's you?
You don't. Just like you don't know if it's Trump or anybody else.
I'm sure it's not Trump. Well, who knows? Anyway, look, either way, he didn't get official notice. Let's leave it at that.
Well, he didn't read his official notice. He didn't see it.
Well, now I understand the committee, the Senate committee, Judiciary Committee, whatever committee it is, they're asking that Comey appear as a citizen, as a regular citizen, answering whatever questions he can that won't impede the investigation or shed light upon, secrets.
What he can't answer? What he wouldn't be allowed to answer?
Well, he won't answer what he wouldn't be allowed to answer.
Okay.
But that's supposed to be sometime this week, unless he probably, which he most likely will, delay it until he has time to collect whatever it is he has to collect and be ready, to come before the committee.
Well, I'm sure he doesn't have any access to his files.
Well, what he was going to say before, while he was still head of the FBI and would have been okay to say, it's not okay for him to say it as a private citizen,
Yeah, but I don't think he has access to his files once he's fired to look up information.
I guess we'll see those files when we see Trump's income tax, huh?
No, those files are all already being checked on, and they're all being filed. What do you call it?
What, Trump's income tax?
No, Comey files are all being.
I know they're being investigated by other agents,
and they're all being logged in. Everything that's in his office, made sure nothing is touched till the new guy comes in. The FBI will continue running without him.
Oh, no doubt about it. Look, I have news for you.
And no investigation is going to be impeded in any way.
Well, what about, I'm sure you haven't listened to what has been said over the last 4 days by Vice President Pence and Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Sean Spicer, especially Pence. As the vice president, he is so out of the loop of what the hell's going on because he's saying things that are so contrary to what Trump himself has already said. And I hate to say this, but I don't think this guy realized what he was signing on to. When he said he would be... Well,
give me an example.
I really can't. All this stuff about... who fired whom and who wrote what letter and
well, because almost
it's like Sarah Huckabee Sanders said, well, I know many people in the FBI and I've spoken to many of them, and they said, and the person who asked her a question said, how many people did you speak to? Who did you speak to? It's very easy to say. And he wasn't trying to, get angry at her, but it's very easy for somebody to say, well, you or I. Well, I read it in the paper.
Well, that's what I'm telling you. Exactly. That's what everybody says about everything.
But I know.
That's my point.
You see, but I know.
And I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everybody.
The doc. I know these things.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about all those people that work in Congress on both sides. And I keep saying...
I am sure... that Comey made his fair share of enemies on both sides of the aisle.
Well, up to the time that Comey got fired, the Democrats wanted him out.
Well, they felt that he was one of the reasons that, even Hillary said the last time she went public, she said, I blame James Comey because up until 2 weeks before, he came out with this letter and he made his statements. Everybody assumed I was going to be the president.
Okay, now, what did Schumer say after he got fired? He is a true American hero. He is an important part of the country. He's this, he's that.
Because he stood up to President Trump.
How did he stand up to him?
Because I told you, Trump wanted him to swear allegiance to him.
I'm sorry. I've definitely never heard that. It may be true. I don't argue with you. I just haven't heard it. And I don't know where it came from.
That's why when you go into government offices, okay, or if you're in the service, okay, you're in the Army or one of the branches of the armed forces, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, when they attend a State of the Union, like the judges of the Supreme Court, they stand or sit there and they don't applaud. Okay, they're supposed to be impartial. Okay.
But they report to the president.
Well, they all report to the president, but the bottom line is they are impartial in what they believe and what they have to say. Now, granted, I mean, they may have affiliations with whatever party, Democrat, Republican, etc. Okay.
I mean, look at the judges, Supreme Court. The left says no, the right says yes, the right says yes, the left says no. Different opinions.
The Supreme Court is supposed to, you remember Dragnet on television? The program Dragnet?
Yeah.
No, like Sergeant Friday. Okay, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. The Supreme Court is only to concern themselves
with the
facts having to do with whatever case they're hearing, both sides, and then they have to render an impartial, decision, and one of them writes up the decision.
Both sides.
Both sides.
There shouldn't be two sides. There should be one Supreme Court.
No, you're not hearing me.
Impartial.
You didn't hear me.
What?
When you bring a case to the Supreme Court,
there's
a plaintiff and there's a defendant.
Mm-hmm.
That's the two parts. They each bring both their arguments to the Supreme Court, at which time the Supreme Court listens, discusses, and votes and gets one decision. And then one of the judges writes up
and the decisions are almost always based on political lines.
Well, except Chief Justice Roberts, when the Republicans wanted to overturn Obamacare, they had assumed that they had the decision 5-4, but Roberts voted.
I said normally. I didn't say all the time. I said normally.
Well, I mean, there are times when a liberal justice may vote with the conservative side, and a conservative justice may see things differently and vote with the liberal side.
But that's not normal.
Hey, look, you and I aren't normal.
Well, that's besides the point.
All right.
We don't have to be. The judges should be impartial, and impartial means impartial, not saying, well, I'm interpreting it this way. He's interpreting that way. I don't believe this part of the Constitution. I do.
Well, you see, that's why you have somebody like Scalia, who is now reborn in Gorsuch, who believes in a strict adherence to what the Founding Fathers wrote, that the Constitution is set in stone. But then on the other side, you have the liberal justices who feel that the laws of the Constitution have to change with the changing times.
Yes, by amendments, not by the judges.
Yes, by amendment.
Not by the judges.
Well, that's the beauty of the Constitution, that if you get 2/3 of the Congress, ordinarily, you can have an amendment.
I agree with you.
You
But judges do not. Then why would the two judges have two differing opinions all the time? Always different. 90% of the time, the Republicans stay with the conservative judges. The Democrats are with the liberal judges. Why is that? If they're all interpreting the same Constitution, and they're not allowed to make changes in it unless it's by amendment.
Because it becomes like a bargaining thing. It's like when the union gets together and you have management and union. Okay, so think of